These are real monsters.
The newly released tapes granting an astonishing look at the twisted mind of a serial killer.
You're watching 34-year-old Israel Keys describe over coffee and a bagel his strategy for hunting and killing innocent people.
Back when I was smart, I would let them come to me. This remote area. Come go to a remote area that's not anywhere near where you live, but that other people go to as well.
It was another night for Samantha Koenig as she began the process of closing up Common Grounds Coffee, the local coffee stand where she worked as a barista and manager in Anchorage, Alaska. All seemed normal until a last-minute customer emerged from the cold, snowy Alaskan night. She immediately realized that this customer, unlike all of her previous customers from that fateful day, was anything but normal. This customer wore a ski mask and a bulky winter coat and ordered a coffee. Samantha reluctantly obliged and prepared the drink. As she handed the coffee over, the faceless customer drew a gun and demanded money. Samantha scrambled to fulfill the assailant's demands. The thief then ordered Samantha to turn off the lights in the coffee stand before entering and tying her up with zip ties. The thief's motives were more sinister than just stealing money. Under the cover of darkness, he then forced her in the back of a pickup truck and left the scene to a nearby shed where he took Samantha's debit card, cell phone, and other personal belongings. He told her that he'd be holding her for ransom, giving Samantha a false sense of security, as it meant that there was a possibility of being returned unharmed. However, the truth was that she would not be coming out of this ordeal alive. A few hours later, 18-year-old Samantha Koenig was sexually assaulted before being killed by her kidnapper, who would later be identified as Israel Keys. Israel Keys left Samantha's body in the shed and then drove down to New Orleans, where he departed on a 2-week cruise to the Gulf of Mexico. All the while, a frantic search for Samantha was underway by Anchorage police and volunteers. After returning from his vacation, Israel Keys then returned to the scene of the crime in Anchorage, Alaska, where he had left Samantha's body. With absolutely no regard, he propped Samantha's body to appear as though she was alive and took a picture of her corpse with her cell phone. He then sent it to her family along with a $30,000 ransom.
Keys explained to us that Miss Koenig had already been killed when he took that ransom photograph. That he had used a needle and thread to make her eyes appear as though she might still be alive.
Keys then dismembered Samantha's body and disposed of her in Matanuska Lake, north of Anchorage. Samantha's family immediately contacted the authorities, who then enlisted the assistance of the FBI. Although he was a few steps ahead, police managed to track Keys through withdrawals he made using Samantha's debit card as he made his way throughout southwestern parts of the United States. Keys was now on the run and became one of FBI's most wanted criminals. 6 weeks after Samantha's murder, after again using Samantha's debit card in Lufkin, Texas, he was swiftly apprehended by Texas Highway Patrol in the parking lot of a local coffee shop on March 13, 2012. Now in police custody, Keys was extradited to Anchorage, Alaska to face interrogation, where he confessed to the murder of Samantha Koenig. As FBI officials began peeling the layers of Keys' psyche, they realized that he truly was evil manifested in human form. Israel Keys was born on January 1st, 1978, in Richmond, Utah. He was homeschooled by his parents throughout his youth until he and his family moved to Stevens County, Washington. Soon after the move, his parents began to attend the Ark, a Christian church who was known for their extremist racist and anti-Semitic views. Israel Keys became the childhood friends of his neighbors, Chevy and Chine Kehoe. In a bizarre twist of fate, Chevy and Chine were both later convicted of murder and attempted murder. At age 20, Keys joined the military and served until he was honorably discharged in 2000. However, his life of crime began before he joined the military. Sometime in 1996, he raped a young girl in Oregon. At the time of the act, he contemplated murdering her, but decided not to. This was the catalyst that sent Israel Keys on a path of destruction in which several lives were scarred forever. After serving in the military, Israel Keys moved to Alaska to start a double life. He established a construction company in 2007. Anchorage was his home base from where he planned his crimes and murders. In order to fund his hobby of murder, Keys would rob homes and commit bank robberies across the United States. According to the FBI, Keys is responsible for about 20 to 30 burglaries, arsons, and bank robberies committed across the United States that took place between 2001 and 2012. Israel Keys is known as one of America's most prolific serial killers. Through a series of police interrogation and interviews, Keys was linked to various unsolved cases dating as far back as 1996 that involved arson, bank robbery, rape, kidnap, and a string of murders across the United States. Part of the reason why Keys went unnoticed by police and authorities is because he was a meticulous planner and had a set of rules which he strictly abided by. Additionally, he is one of the first known serial killers to utilize a murder kit, or a kill kit, which is a cache or stash of weapons and items used to dispatch victims. His routine would be to fly to the locations of his crimes, rent a vehicle, and then drive sometimes hundreds of miles to find victims. He would set up and bury murder kits somewhere in the targeted area, stashing items like shovels, plastic bags, money, weapons, and ammunition. His murder kits would later be found in Alaska and New York, but he admitted to having others in Washington, Wyoming, Texas, and possibly Arizona. He would look for victims in remote areas like parks, campgrounds, walking trails, or boating areas. If he was targeting a home, he looked for a house with an attached garage, no car in the driveway, any children, or dogs. After committing the murders, Keys would immediately leave the state, leaving little to no evidence in the crime scenes. He would never strike in the same area twice, and he did not maintain a victim profile, meaning he killed at random. Some of his murders were planned 2 years in advance. Throughout the 40 hours of interrogations, Keys provided very little information and used his crimes as leverage against police. He admitted to killing Samantha Koenig and dumping her body in the nearby lake. He later admitted to the deaths of a senior couple, Bill and Lorraine Currier, of Vermont. He stated that he murdered Bill and sexually assaulted Lorraine before also murdering her. He refused to provide the locations of their bodies. Finally, Keys admitted to a murder that took place in New York, however refused to provide police with the victim's name, age, sex, and location of the murder. Keys also toyed with the possibility of being responsible for 4 other murders. He provided no information regarding these victims. Keys attributed his lack of cooperation to his attempt of protecting his family members' privacy, specifically his daughters. However, all of this was a ploy, an attempt of maintaining his sense of power and control. Keys was arrogant, narcissistic, and remorseless. He enjoyed the attention he got from police and the media. He felt as though he was in control and was smarter than the police. In reality, Keys had no control of his situation, and his facade walls were quickly closing in on him. Detectives are highly trained interviewers and are willing to play nice in order to obtain crucial information, especially if there is the potential of finding incriminating evidence or to help find closure for family members. On December 2nd, 2012, prior to being formally convicted by a judge, Israel Keys committed suicide while being held at Anchorage Correctional Complex. He took with him any clues and evidence regarding the locations of his missing victims' bodies, the exact number of people he has killed, And most importantly, the motive behind his actions. What drove Israel Keyes to kill innocent people? During his interrogation, Keyes stated,
"A lot of people ask why, and I would be like, why not?"
His answer seems anticlimactic, too simple to be the truth, especially when you take into account the complexity of some of his crimes. No one may ever know his real motive. It is unfortunate that a large portion of the media coverage of this case portrayed Keyes to be a mastermind or a genius. Keyes was no mastermind. He was no genius. He was a monster that is responsible for the deaths of Samantha Koenig, Bill Currier, Lorraine Currier, and 5 other unknown victims, among many possible others. The truth is, real monsters don't have claws, sharp teeth, or superpowers. Real monsters blend in with society and disappear into the darkness.